The severe weather is about to get very active as we are in peak severe weather season. So I'm going to be talking about what you need to know about these severe weather potentials. So let's get right into the video. It is Thursday, May 14th, 2026. And we got an area to watch for severe weather today out in parts of the plains today. It's nothing like really too crazy, but we do have a marginal risk going from the Texas Panhandle all the way up into southeastern Nebraska for today, where we do have a potential for severe weather. And then we have a level 2 out of 5 slight risk out here near Topeka, Kansas, where we have a potential for severe weather today as well. So they did get rid of our tornadoes, so we're not really expecting anything with tornadoes. Wouldn't rule it out though. Do have some potentials for some damaging winds today within these areas, so definitely be aware for some of these storms. It's kind of a question like, are they going to develop? If we get those storms to develop, they could produce some damaging winds and hail. I don't completely know if they are going to develop. Do have a wind conditional tendency group 1 risk out here from the Texas Panhandle and the southwestern Kansas though. And then we do have a chance for some pretty large hail. Large to very large hail is going to be a potential in that hail conditional tendency group 1 risk. It's the chance that we could get to hail up to hen egg size. So if we get the storms to form, so definitely park your car in the garage so it doesn't get damaged by hail. So that's kind of what's going on for today. And then for tomorrow on Friday, we will have another severe weather threat from western Oklahoma all the way up into southwestern Wisconsin, where we have a chance for some damaging winds, hail, and maybe an isolated tornado. As of right now, we don't have a tornado risk outlined, but I think we will at some point, mainly within these areas. We do have a level 2 out of 5 slight risk out here, though, from northeastern Kansas into southwestern Iowa, so definitely be aware for that. But no tornado risk. You can see that we have a 15% wind risk, though, out here, where we could be seeing a potential for some damaging winds. But we do also have a potential for some hail, as you can see here within these areas. You can see large to very large hail tomorrow if we get the storms to develop out there. With a hail conditional tendency group 1 risk, where we could see hail potentially up to hen egg size. So definitely be prepared for that. And then for Saturday, we have a very large area to be watching for severe weather, all the way from Denver, Colorado, into Columbus, Ohio. On Saturday, we have a severe weather threat. I think that will have potential for some tornadoes, damaging winds, and hail, as you can see right here. The Storm Prediction Center has a slight risk and effect out here from Des Moines, Iowa, down to parts of northeastern Colorado. So that's going to be the main area to be watching for Saturday. Then the probabilistic outlook is showing any severe conditional tendency group 1 risk within these areas. So definitely got to be watching Friday very closely, as I think this is when it's really going to start ramping up with our severe weather threat. And then for Sunday, we have a large area to be watching on Sunday as well, with a 30% any severe risk actually, which is equivalent to an enhanced risk out here in parts of eastern Nebraska up to parts of southwestern Minnesota. This is for Sunday, so definitely got to be watching Sunday very closely, as there's a 30% any severe risk, and they're pretty confident in something pretty dangerous out there, serious. And then as we get into Monday, we'll have another severe weather threat. This is going to be probably the peak of our stretch, going from northern Texas into the UP of Michigan. So definitely got to be watching Monday, probably the closest. And we have a very large area to be watching. There's a 30% any severe risk actually out here as well. I think Monday could bring some tornadoes, a lot of severe thunderstorms with damaging winds and very large hail on the table. So definitely going to be watching Monday very closely. And it doesn't even stop there. Tuesday, we will have another severe weather chance out here from northeastern Oklahoma into western Illinois. When you look at the future radar, you can see these are some of the storms that we could be seeing today pop up out here. So you can see we might have, if we do get some storms to develop, you can see that there's a decent chance that we might get some storms to develop out there. This is what it's looking like on the future radar. So they have a chance to produce some damaging winds and hail. They're very low, but not zero tornado threat. We don't have a 2% tornado risk right now, but you can see that there is some severe storms that are going to be a potential out here today. So definitely be aware for that. So that's kind of what the future radar is looking like for today. Then those storms should just kind of weaken out as we get into the overnight hours of tonight. And then there's also going to be a severe weather chance in this pretty much the same area for tomorrow as well. If we push this up some more, for tomorrow on Friday, we'll have another severe weather potential out here. If we get those storms to form, we can see this is the area I'm watching for maybe an isolated tornado up there, as you can see there. So still maybe watching for a potential tornado. You see those updrafts that we could be seeing. But that's something to be watching too. So this is what some of the storms could look like as well on Friday. Might have a few storms pop up out there near Des Moines, Iowa. on Friday, so that's also something to be watching. I think they'll mainly be having a chance for damaging winds and hail, but isolated tornado can't be ruled out there. So that's for Friday right there with those storms. And then pushing up more to the night, the storms should start weakening out as we head into the overnight hours. And then actually over here, you can see these storms might actually turn into a line right here through northern Illinois through the overnight hours into the early morning hours of Saturday. Now I want to rule out maybe an isolated spin-up tornado out there and some damaging winds, even out there in parts of Michigan. But we'll see if they expand any of the risks out into some of those areas. But that's for Friday and Saturday, in the early morning hours of Saturday. And then checking out the Rufus A model, you can see here, this model tends to over-convect, but you can see that we're going to have some storms out there on Saturday. This is what Saturday could look like. I do think that we could be seeing a few tornadoes and maybe one even being strong on Saturday with some of those storms that develop out there. So it's kind of just to give you a look at what Saturday could look like, but that's kind of what it's looking like right now on the Rufus model. So definitely watching Saturday closely as well, and this what it could look like on the future radar there. So if you're out there in Des Moines, Iowa on Saturday, Lincoln, Nebraska, or Topeka, Kansas on Friday, even Denver to Columbus, Ohio on Friday, on Saturday, you guys need to be staying prepared for potential severe weather. The reason the marginal risk actually extends like far out into like the parts of the Ohio Valley is because we're gonna have some of these storms out here towards the morning, and then they're kind of going to push through those areas, maybe producing a chance for some damage and winds, maybe an isolated tornado. But then we're going to have some of these storms going to push through those areas into the overnight hours, into the early morning hours of Sunday. And then you can see here, this is what some of our storms could look like on Sunday. This is GFS, so it's not going to be the most detailed and everything like that, but this is what some of the storms could look like on Sunday. You can see we're going to have a decently strong low pressure system out there on Sunday. That's gonna have some storms starting to fire out there on Sunday. And then on Monday, you can see that we're gonna have some of the storms start to fire out there, some supercells, and potential for some a potential tornado outbreak, severe weather outbreak. And then on Monday, the storms will kind of turn into a line into Tuesday, and they'll continue to be a line. And then we're gonna have some of those storms develop. So yeah, I might even rule out some snow actually out here in parts of the Rockies on Monday. Checking out CAPE, you can see here, this stands for convective variable potential energy. That's what it stands for. Think of it as storm fuel. You can see we're going to have a decent amount of storm fuel out there. And especially on Monday, it's going to be primed out there. As you can see on Monday, we're going to have a lot of storm fuel out there. Potentially getting up to 4,000 joules per kilogram, 4,800 joules per kilogram. I'm really watching Monday very closely, so definitely if you're out there, be prepared for Monday. But that's how much just storm fuel we could be having out there. So yeah, we're going to have a lot of storm fuel out there, and just know that our atmosphere out there is pretty primed for these storms out there. So get prepared for that. And then switching over to the dew point, you can see how much moisture we're going to have out there, which moisture is part of the ingredients that you need for the storms. You can see how much moisture we're going to have out there. We're going to have a decent amounts of moisture out there today, and then pushing it up all the way to Monday, which should be the peak of the severe weather event. You can see how much moisture we're going to have out there. Look at all of that moisture, as we're going to have that dry line set up. As you can see, we're going to have this very dry air and then this Gulf moisture, and that is going to be a pretty sharp cutoff with that severe weather chance. But you can just really see how much moisture we're going to be having out there. You can see here that we had a trough come out of the Pacific Northwest into parts of the Northern Rockies, and that's calls that severe weather chance out there. We're also going to have this trough move out of the United States and push that way, and then pushing it up more as we get into Sunday and Monday. You can see we're going to have another trough come out of the Pacific, and that's going to move into these areas out there, and that's going to cause that severe weather chance within these areas on Monday. So then that trough is going to move through, and then we're just going to have some of those troughs keep coming out of the Pacific, causing those severe weather chances. Switching over to the temperature anomaly, you can see here that we're having all this more cold air kind of sitting over towards the eastern half of the United States. I've been talking about that, but that's actually going to make its way out, and that's going to move out. And then we're going to have warm air trying to make its way in, and then it's going to be very warm out there in parts of the Ohio Valley next week. And that's going to be potentially get up to 90 degrees sometimes, which is actually going to be really crazy. But see all this cold air out here and this warm air, we're going to have all that Gulf moisture that's going to be pumped up into the United States, with this cold air and this warm air, and that's all going to clash together in the middle, causing that severe weather chance. You can really see that right here. See this warm air clashing with that cold air. Anyways, that's pretty much all I got for you in today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Stay weather aware, and I'll see you in the next weather update video. Stay tuned for some more live streams.